on air right now.
We may be.
I don't know if anyone's actually listening, but it will record it, and it should do the captions too, depending on how good the audio quality is. When I have a headset on, it'll be better, but I'll probably try to use the screen reader, so it's kind of hard to do that with the headset, and so y'all can all hear. Okay, I just need to share my screen. And you always get that nice effect.
That's a lot of
yeah. Okay. So what is this meetup? It is 6:06. We're 6 minutes late. We're starting now. Thanks everyone for coming. We have one chair left, so we filled the room. That's pretty good. There's 10 chairs in here, I guess. Anyway, a lot of meetup people I saw kind of talk about meetup.com and having accessibility problems. And every time I go to meetup.com, they always have this really annoying, they used to have this really annoying pop-up that told me to rent some space to do your meetup. And when I tested, the button was not accessible. And I was like, there's got to be tons of accessibility problems here on meetup.com. And there is, like most companies, you know, their website has problems and also native apps. So Meetup has Android app and iOS app as well. So also, you know, if anyone who wanted to come to the meetup wanted to do their own accessibility testing, or if y'all want to pull out your phones now, you can. We do have accessibility experts in the room who can show you how to do accessibility testing, or you can contribute your own problem. Say, look, it just says button here when it should say blah, blah, blah button. So feel free to do any testing you want. It's okay if it gets loud, or you can plug in your headphones. That's no problem.
If you have them.
Yeah, if you have them.
Technical things to do accessibility testing on the phone besides pressing buttons?
You have an Android phone, or is that okay? You'll have to go into the settings and accessibility, and hopefully you have talkback there, and that's the screen reader.
Oh, you need testing that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's okay. I mean, you can turn it down a little. Talkback also has a display speech output, so you can see it and actually not even have the audio on. Whereas the iPhone, you can't see what the iPhone says. And on the Mac, you can see what VoiceOver says. Okay, my audio is coming out from the TV. Let me see if I can try to turn up my audio up. I think I need to turn it up here. Anyway, let's see. Okay. We're testing a number one-way demo of the Meetup platform. Is that too loud? Okay. Okay, so VoiceOver on the Mac, you can see what it says. Pretty nice. Makes for great screenshots when you're doing accessibility reports. On the iPhone, you can't see what it says, but then on Android, you can. If you enable display speech output, it's under a TalkBack developer setting, so it's kind of buried, but it is there. So y'all can do your own testing of the meetup if you'd like, and we'll just talk about the problems. So, I mean, I usually do most of my accessibility testing just turning on VoiceOver because I'm on a Mac. If you're on Windows, you might want to use NVDA. Windows narrator screen reader is not as nice. That's okay. That's what happens when you do accessibility testing with people's phones. You can turn it on. And if you hit the volume down, it'll turn down a little, so it's no big deal. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I went to an image and it just says image. So this is a very typical problem that you see with Meetup. The little circle images, it just says image. Is it a link? It's not a link. No, it is a link. And so when you have a link, that's even more important that it says the name of the image. Like, what does this do when I click on it? That's what the name should say, not just image. But if it is an image with no alt attribute, that's what will happen. Sometimes it'll read the file name. But let me get to the top of the screen and just get started up there. Does anybody have any questions or anything?
How do you set it up on a Mac? How do you get it?
How do you can hit Command F5 on your Mac. Okay. So like you could open the website or turn the screen reader on first, whatever you want to do. But
Mhm.
on the Mac, well, I have one with the touch bar. So on it, you triple click the password, the fingerprint reader, because there's no F5 key on the newer Macs anymore. But on all Macs that do have a F5 key, you hit Command F5.
Yeah.
What was the way that I can make the accessibility
So,
of the text?
Well, you don't have a.
I don't know if this screen sharing is working anymore.
It will turn on that, but I don't have an F5 actually.
I don't know if anyone can tell me if the screen sharing stops or if it is working, but I'm just gonna try to start it again. Or did it work?
I mean, like check it in YouTube or what?
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
It just says there's an error loading your app. I don't know if it's actually, is it sharing my screen?
You were sharing.
Okay. Okay. I think now it's sharing because it says stop sharing. Anyway, there could be some crazy technical problems on this, and we'll just have no idea. Because I didn't, I just can't really. Maybe if it's just going to share my whole screen either way. I think it is working still.
It seems like it is.
Okay, you can.
I think so.
No, this is my view. Oh, you're just looking on YouTube. Okay, cool. It'll be a little delay.
Okay, cool.
I've done this before, and trying to get questions from the YouTube people is pretty much impossible with the delay. All right. The other thing, we didn't do introductions either. So I guess before we go too far, we can do introductions around the room since we're a pretty small group, and we can say our name and what we do, or any other comment you want to make on accessibility. My name is Paul J. Adam. I work for Pearson as a mobile accessibility specialist, and just happy y'all came to the meetup. So you can go ahead.
I'm Richard Stafford. I'm a UX student and a teacher, elementary school teacher.
Oh, cool. Thanks for coming.
And I'm Rita Fennelly, and I'm a technology design coach at Austin INC. I'm interested.
I'm Anna. I used to support voiceover when it came out ages ago, and that was something when I hated it back then because, didn't need it. Now I like things that are accessible at work, so turns out half of the time, when you learn to do some things in one way, then it doesn't work without. So for instance, I can't use a watch anymore without.
Cool.
Hi guys, I'm Jackie Adam. I work for Criterion 508. I specialize in accessibility testing and reporting. And, we're always looking for presenters and organizers. So just wanted to remind
Yes, please.
you.
If y'all ever like to present or have a topic, we
Or
definitely be happy.
ideas on topics or anything you want to hear more about, let us know.
Yeah, and we could either present here, or if you have a location you like to do that, we're open to move around as
Yeah,
well.
we're really flexible. Just let us know.
Okay, well, my name is Christian Gamado. I've been in banking, and I've been learning accessibility for a little over a year or so. So I'm just getting more and more into it now.
Wes, software architect, Golden Frog. I used to code and have the opportunity to care about this stuff and actually implement it. And now I'm passing off my responsibilities, so I need to learn more so that I can pass off more. Otherwise, my funnel empties and I'm useless.
I'm Eric Goins. I am a UX designer at a company called Unison here in downtown, and I guess a accessibility developer as well. So yeah, basically, Daniel and I work at the same place, and both of us are basically doing all accessibility work at our job.
Yep. So I'm Daniel Sato. I'm a software engineer at Unison, and I have to implement all of this.
Great.
You said DQ. I remember DQ mentioned before.
I used to work at DQ. Me and Jackie did, yeah. I work for Pearson now. She works for another accessibility consulting company. But yeah, we know a lot of DQ folks. There's some here in Austin as well too. But yeah, thank you all for coming. I don't know if there's anyone on the internet, and I have no method to let y'all say hi if there was. I'd like to figure that out one day, have people participate.
Stream somehow, if they're.
Yeah, I mean, I just,
There are 3 people watching, but I might
there's
be
2
one
people.
of them.
Okay. Like, how do I even see who's here or if there's people here? There's not anybody chatting in the group chat.
I've got 3 people remote. I told about this.
Okay. I'm hoping it's recording it all and it'll be there. Or it says there's 3
If
viewers.
somebody's watching, can you please tell us if this is working?
Okay, yeah, we'll find out later at least. All right, so I'll just get back into accessibility testing then. One tip, one thing you could do is like hover your mouse over everything to look for things that pop up.
Okay.
Cool, great,
Awesome.
thank you. I don't really see much with Meetup, like some special things that are popping up on hover. But even like the underlines, you'd want to test, like, do those underlines actually show when you tab to it? That's something people forget. But Meetup got that. They do show the underlines. But you could do basic testing, just tabbing around and seeing how things work. And I can see, like, I skip from messages. I'll increase it. And then we kind of lost our focus. So that's a very noticeable problem. You don't even need the screen reader to find that. And then like the share buttons, here's a thing that, showed up on hover, and it did work with the keyboard. That's really nice.
Is the X close? Did you get to that?
Well, it just disappears when you tab away. So that may be okay. You might not actually need to exit with the keyboard.
What about the learn more link?
Well, that's not accessible, the learn more link. Yeah, there's no way I can see the tab into that learn more link. So that's definitely a problem.
There are non-JavaScript ways to make pop-up accessible pop-ups.
I don't think so. Even if you used a native pop-up, like an alert dialog that's, built with JavaScript, you like invoke it. So yeah, you need JavaScript for everything, really, for accessibility. Fix all these problems. So yeah, tabbing around. Other things, okay, it goes to the hearts and the like. Like I would say, can I like my own post? Press enter. Does it work with enter? Okay, that works. So that's some basic things you could do.
Is it more common to use space or enter? Like that?
Good question. For a button, it's supposed to work with enter and space bar, but for a link, it's only enter key. So you just match the native behavior.
Okay.
So, if you use something with roll equals button, a lot of times people forget to make the space bar work. They'll make it work with enter key, but they forget about space bar. So it's definitely best to use a native button.
In what situation would someone use roll equals button instead of just taking a button inside?
Because they can't change the div to a button tag. Like it's old, or the design is already there. A lot of times accessibility always comes at the end. It's not the best way, but with ARIA, you can make anything a button, like a fake button, but make it accessible fine.
We'll capture the space bar.
Yeah, and you have to add that with the key up event. So anyway, you tab around through everything. I was trying to see if I could get to the organizer tools button, but anyway, pretty far down at this point. Let me just turn on the screen reader so it'll be more interesting.
Welcome to macOS voiceovers.
When you were tabbing through, did it go onto the pictures as options to go on those or not?
So which options?
Like, you can click on your picture to take you to your page.
Oh, this here?
Yeah.
Or this one here?
Or there, yeah. Does it?
It went to the link over here, to this circle. Are you
Okay.
talking about the ones down here?
Yeah, I saw it go to those.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to those. But again, they have this nice style when you hover over it, but when you tab to it, they don't have that anymore. So that's something that may not be a critical issue, but I always point that out to people. Like, you should really match up the same nice mouse hover style.
Welcome to Image Visit link.
Okay, here's a nice one that I like. Okay, so this is a link. This is a very common issue.
Visit link.
It's not a big deal, but this is a link to Meetup. Do we care that it's the logo, Meetup logo? Because that is the link's name is Meetup logo. Meetup logo link.
What else would you call it?
Just Meetup.
The
Meetup link.
The ESLint
Or Meetup
JSX
homepage.
rules, will flag you for saying logo or
Some of
picture
them.
or any of those words in your alt text.
Which ones do it?
Oh, the ESLint JSX
Oh,
accessibility
okay, that's
rules.
nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be down. Why do we not have logo or image in there?
Mostly what I tell people is that we're not going to go download the logo. So if you're not going to like go use the logo for like a press release or something, we don't really care. It's supposed to be about the purpose of the link, not the like the visual
You also
look.
don't see like the word logo next to it. So you
Yeah, I
want to
mean-
communicate the same thing that you are seeing there. You know, we get it that that's the Meetup logo visually. So why just, you know, a person who can't.
It's not a big deal if you say logo, but I think it's just sort of like a misunderstanding of accessibility. Like it looks like it's a logo when we look at it.
But if you can't look at it, then how do you know what its purpose is?
Well, if it's just meetup.com link, or you say homepage, I think that'd be better. Say
Yeah.
meetup homepage and meetup logo.
Because you're presumably at the top or at the page.
Well, because when you click on it, it takes you to the
Brings you back.
homepage.
So
And that's the standard convention for most websites. Yeah. It's more about the purpose of the link than the visual look of the image. Not a big critical thing, though.
yeah.
Visit link. Start new group.
Okay, let me zoom out.
Link. Explore. Then open menu. Collapse pop-up.
Here's
Open menu.
a big
Collapse
major
pop-up.
problem. So this notifications
Copy.
link, I couldn't even get to it
It's open menu.
when I tabbed.
Open menu. Open. Visit.
Oh
open
wait, no,
menu.
I could get to it. We just didn't see the focus. Like
Visit.
this has the blue focus, but once I tab to the notifications, we lose the focus.
Open menu. Collapse
And-
pop-up button. Open menu. Collapse pop-up button.
And it just says open menu. It doesn't say what menu you're opening.
You are currently on.
It should say notifications.
Open.
I mean, that's the visual text.
It looks like link and visited and all those seem like they're coming from some browser understanding of what it is.
Yeah, visited link, that's just your normal like behavior of a link once it's in the visited state. It tells the screen reader. No, not what I can tell you. There's what we're seeing here. The first part is the accessible name, open menu. So a human wrote that part. The word collapsed, I think, is from aria expanded equals false.
Okay.
And the pop-up button is from aria has pop-up equals true. So unless they wrote that manually, but I don't think they wrote that out manually. But open menu, that's not an accessibility property, so that must be an aria label probably.
It seems inconsistent that this one starts with what the human wrote, whereas the other links and images seem to start with what.
Yeah, you'll see screen readers are all going to be different.
And not a link. We're being treated as a roll of buttons as opposed to being a link. And that's why you're seeing a bit of different visual behavior and different audio behavior. Is because it's not the same thing.
So it comes from a different source, right? Or they've designed it differently.
Yes. Kind people's buttons.
This is all jacked up.
Yeah. That's
This code, like if you know ARIA code, you can tell, well, this is terrible. Anyway, let me scroll up a little bit.
Oh, that's cute.
So it's
Oh,
a
God.
div.
Oh, God.
Div roll equals button, but there's also a button inside the div. So this is sort of problems I see everywhere when I do accessibility testing too.
So who calls it a class button? Can we just talk about that for a second?
But okay, and they put ARIA has pop up twice too. ARIA has pop up equals true on the div. The other thing people mess up a lot is the accessibility properties have to go on the focusable element. Like a div is not focusable, but a button is focusable. You can't like mix match your accessibility properties and put on a parent element or a child element. You want them all on what you tab to. So you tab to the button, so that's what should read. But you know, here we don't know what the screen reader will do. All screen readers will do something different because this code is not good. But this is the part that said open menu. It's pulling it from the ARIA label. And then collapse is from ARIA expanded. And the pop-up menus from ARIA says pop-up equals true. Yeah, they could get rid of the div and just put everything on the button itself. That's what I would recommend.
So where would you write the text that put it on the label? You would change that open menu, but that open menu is there for another reason too, right? Because they weren't thinking about accessibility when they.
I think they probably were because they wouldn't have written an ARIA label, but they they had a misunderstanding, which is very, very common. So they thought it should say open menu. Like they thought maybe it would say notifications open menu or something. They didn't understand like In ARIA, if you put an ARIA label on something, it will override whatever's inside it. It's supposed to say, don't say notifications, instead say my ARIA label. But most people don't realize that.
So I know a tiny bit about like CSS and HTML. Is ARIA label, is this ARIA's completely different thing?
Yes.
Okay.
It's more along HTML. Like ARIA is a set of extra attributes for HTML.
Okay.
So CSS, is not attributes at all. You just have classes and IDs to hook in. And ARIA, you can't do anything with ARIA from CSS. It's all HTML attributes. But with JavaScript, you can generate all the attributes too. So if you don't want to write the ARIA in HTML, you could just add it with JavaScript.
Okay.
And you have to change it. So when the menu expands, you say ARIA expanded equals true. You change those attributes dynamically with JavaScript. You have to do that. But another thing you could do, like you could test out fixes. Like I could try to edit this code and fix their problems. Like get rid of the div. So this is a way you can test how is it going to work with the screen reader. And now I just have a button instead. Still don't have the focus.
Welcome notification.
Now that sounds a lot better. It says notifications pop-up button. And that's reading from the ARIA has pop-up, but it doesn't say open menu.
Ignore next notifications pop-up button.
And if
that is a pop-up button? Is that
it is,
you call it
yes. I guess. I don't know if it does something actually. I mean, they're saying it's a pop-up button. This page might be broken at this point. This is a pop-up button here. So I can
something's popping up, right?
go on that one.
I mean, there may have been an event listener to pop up that button.
Notifications. Open menu. Collapse.
So this one says open menu collapse pop-up button, but again, it doesn't tell me what is the menu. What is the name of this menu? This is my user account.
Yeah.
So this is a common pattern on all websites. They always have the user account so you can sign out. When you work in accessibility, you see the same things all the time. So I could press enter. Well, no, that didn't work. I don't even know. It's not keyboard accessible. It's when I tab to it, it skips over it. So you can, with the screen reader, you can simulate a click when you hit Control Option Spacebar. That'll click it, not actually key press. But anyway.
Was it Control what?
Control Option Spacebar. That's how you press a button with a click event. Anyway, so that expanded, but again, now it says expanded button. So they did the expanded state, but it doesn't tell me what menu. Now it says close menu, and really we need to say what is the name of this menu, like user account expanded pop-up button, user account collapse pop-up button, that sort of thing.
And then when you press a tab, did you scroll into that menu?
You could tab into it, and that seemed to work fine.
Okay.
And one other thing I checked for is escape key, and that worked. When you hit escape, you want to close it.
Welcome to macOS heading level 3.
Another thing you do with the screen reader is go through your headings a lot. VoiceOver has something called the rotor, where you can see all the different types of elements that are available, like based on your semantic HTML. Like the main landmark, if you ever heard of the main tag, a role equals main, there it is. That's how you jump to it. All the buttons. Now look, this is another way you can find problems. It just says button, button, button. This is if you ever see something called VO keys, that's control plus option. This is VoiceOver only, but it's a control option plus U. So they may say VOU, but it is a control option U. And that on the iPhone you can do the same thing, but you rotate with 2 fingers. And you don't visually see what it says, you only hear it. So it's a little bit different. But anyway, you see all the buttons. And like question button, what is that? It's supposed to say something like help for blah, 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 help for this or that. There's a happy hour button.
That one.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
I think that's from my picture. I put it, or something. Well, because there's the
Basement bar. Button.
basement bar button too.
Basement bar. Button.
That is the pictures.
Happy hour. Button.
So
You,
like,
you did a good job.
that's from what the alt text that I added. They pulled that in, so that's nice.
So, I mean, is that actually best practice to have those images appear as buttons rather than as images with alt texts that are links?
Yeah, good question, and it may depend on the functionality. Like if it opens a dialogue, you might like button better than link. Sometimes, I mean, that's what I do. I pressed enter, but it opened a page. So I would think link would be better than button in that case, because you're trying to indicate like the functionality and behavior.
Heading level 1. Heading level 1 is MPE. Heading level 4 in this photo.
Did it say where it's going to go?
Power numbers.
Now, you know, this image, it just says high res, blah, blah, blah. That's not an alt text. That's reading the file name. So this is a problem. I mean, they could have put that same thing, just like basement bar. It could have said that. It says it somewhere else at the bottom. So the easy thing is just to say basement bar for that too. But anyway, that's the sort of problems you see in all websites.
Tires underscore 47199166.
What about, can you like log out? What about, like, wasn't there like somebody who wanted to organize?
Spotlight, system dialog, spotlight search text field, blank, X, screen X, A, R, I.
Let me go to like sign up for Meetup.
Selection replaced. www.eptp.com. We are what we do for mission control. No, snip the stick button.
A lot of times I just have to turn the screen reader off before I get where I want to be and then turn it back on. So, you know, Command F5, triple click, that's helpful for sure.
Welcome to macOS.
Does anybody see a problem right when you look at the web page? Anything jump out at you besides Jackie? Who knows all the answers? Like just looking at this site, any WCAG violations that jump out of your head? Something maybe you can't stop looking at?
Pause for hide.
So
Yeah.
the blinking or the
The
constant
movement,
motion.
yeah.
Video.
Yeah,
I feel like people like animated GIFs and shit, so
it's very popular now. It's gotten even more popular. This is a video that they turned into a GIF, basically. And it's just, yeah, all these people like, and how would you even write the alt text for this? This is another thing sometimes
Pixel
people
point.
ask.
Just let pixel point.
You have to kind of write an audio description just like it is a video. But anyway, there's no pause button. So that's a WCAG failure. You're supposed to have a pause button for carousels, movement, sliding things. So anyway.
And that would just be inappropriate. Like you can still have the moving.
Yeah, you can have it. You just need a pause button. That's it.
Yeah.
Accessibility doesn't say you can't do things. Just kind of
Hey, at least it's
have a little bit of control for the user, because it's really distracting and annoying.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite requirements because, I mean, I'm not blind, so I don't need the screen reader, but this is really annoying on websites. So I definitely like a pause button.
Well, it's hard to read.
Yeah. They have bad contrast too. The white text, like it changes the background color with the video. So that sort of makes that fail the contrast too.
So go run through that, like the contrast, like was it like, is it 4.5 to 1 or something like I don't know. There was like some ratio
Yes.
I looked up. How do you determine?
And I use automated tools.
Yeah, the color contrast analyzer tool.
Like I can try Totality and see if it finds one. But with background images, automated tools sometimes can't figure that out.
So
Like
automated
it
tool?
thinks this is an automated tool called Totality, and it's checking the contrast on the page. Totality finds the top blue fails contrast, but this white, it doesn't know that there's a background image behind it.
Yeah.
So the automated tools aren't as good as a human. But then it says this red, I think the red has a white. Yeah, the white on red fails contrast. It knows that.
Is it too vibrant? Like the vibrancy is that the problem?
It's just a CSS. Like it can tell the background color and the foreground color, but for this white, it doesn't know that is an image behind it.
Why is that white on that red no good?
Because WCAG just says the ratios, and if you don't meet the ratios, then you don't meet the ratios. Like it's calculated through some sort of color contrast thing, and this is one of the most sort of annoying and boring parts of WCAG. So I do like that automated tools will do it for you because you don't want to do it manually, but there's a way to do it manually. There's something called the color contrast analyzer. Like, so this white, we'd have to manually test that, and you'd have to pick the foreground color, and then you have to pick the background color manually, which is fine.
You can't pause it, right? So you can't go through it.
Well, yeah, but look, I picked the cloud, and the cloud fails.
Yeah.
The cloud color, it says it has a 1.8. And these things, they let you kind of tweak them. Like if you make it darker, oh, I need to click here. If you make it darker, it'll start to pass once it's at 4.5. And that's, you just follow those rules. You don't have to think about it, really. I mean, that's just what WCAG says. And the difference is large text and small text. Large text can pass at 3.5, but it has to be 18 points or 14 point in bold. And it's points, not pixels, so that also confuses people even more.
Can I throw a bad idea and someone tell me why it's bad?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Could there be an option on a website to show like the designers want because they need to get their design on, and then somehow there is an option to make the website accessible?
Yes. I mean, not at the same time, but we should.
Yeah.
What do you mean,
Change
make the
visuals and make
website?
things better.
Oh, like a better contrast?
Yeah, just
No.
visuals, not.
Yeah, no, I've seen some sites like companies who use green or orange.
Green or something.
They have a high contrast mode button. So
Okay.
you click that button and it changes the whole site to have better contrast. I don't think that's a good approach. Most people do not like that idea of making the user, because you tell the user who has a disability that you have to click this special button to enable accessibility. It's like saying you can get into the building, but you need to go in the door in the back.
Yeah.
You know, or you have to press the special button. Even though there's doors that open automatically, you can have a sensor that does it, or you can make them push the special button to do it.
A lot of the doors do have a special button.
And it's not as good of an experience, right?
Or more notable experience of you can ride the bus, but you have to sit in the back. Which I think we're all pretty familiar with, and that's
just the
segregation.
philosophy
People
behind
like
the
say,
I have
clicking
to come in the
special
door,
button.
and I still have to use my arm.
But what if you don't have an arm? You shouldn't have, like, they can design a door that opens automatically for you, where you don't have to do anything. And that's the best approach.
Okay, you do have
Seamlessness.
automatic doors, but
Do what?
I'm trying to compare me to, let's say, someone in a wheelchair. And I thought, well, I have to open the door. They can press the button. We're both doing something to make it happen. But your point.
What if they don't have arms at all, though? They definitely can't push the button.
That's true.
So it's not universal design. That's another
I'm less
philosophy.
worried about finding what they can and can't do in some situation for them, but more about, is it a problem that we're solving for them that we also are giving ourselves the benefit of too?
Yeah, well, I mean, like ramps are great for people who use strollers, moving furniture.
Yeah, so that's.
Accessibility all helps everybody.
Yes, I
Yeah.
your path is wrong. Even Trello, for instance, they're probably a pretty good example of what patterns they do. So they do have a toggle for accessibility. They use patterns. So for their color structures, because you don't want to use color just to denote a particular thing about the user interface itself. You probably make it as attractive for people who are colorblind.
I've seen their patterns, it's nice.
Right, so yeah, so they have an option to turn that on. But those are one of those things you have to choose yourself to say, well, do I want to make this for everyone out of the box? Or do I want to do a different pattern to make somebody explicitly target that? And I think that's ultimately your
Yeah, they can't even spell it.
Do you want to demo the app? Huh? Do you want to do it? You can just plug in.
It's free. Yeah.
Let's see if that'll work.
And then, Paul, that little side, that's your bookmarklet thing, right? On the side?
The thing on the side here is my bookmarklet, or that's actually my extension called Alley Tools.
And he posted it was it when you did CSUN? Is that when you posted it in the meetup group? Yeah. So if you go back a couple of meetup sessions and look up the CSUN one.
Yeah. Have a free version of it and paid versions. It's just things like images tell you the image alt text and headings and that sort of stuff.
So a couple of meetups back, it will be in like the notes, you can download it or something.
Yeah, all the meetups have some good info still. Definitely.
Okay. That's cool. And what's it called? The booklet, or is it called booklet?
Bookmark, accessibility bookmarklets.
Okay.
Which camera do I want to use? I'm trying to look for. Did you plug in your phone?
Yeah.
That's like if you want to trust it or anything.
I already did.
It said trust and you already did. Okay. Oh, I just wondering. Recording. I'm gonna try to get the phone onto the screen so we could do a little native. So be a little variety.
So you started off tabbing everything through. You checked the sounds and how that reflected. Then you went in to look at the contrast and stuff like that. And now you're choosing to see how it works on the phone and stuff.
Yeah, you want to test the website on the phone. That's very important. But then she's going to also look at the native apps. They have an Android app and an iPhone app. A lot of companies do now.
Yeah.
And you'll see that they all have accessibility problems. Maybe even more in the app. Sometimes the apps will be accessible kind of accidentally and work very well.
So
I mean, you get stuff using or whatever, and
there's like a heading up here.
Oh, the invisible heading?
Yeah. And then we have a button that is missing an accessible name. We don't know what this
So it's
button
like
is for.
edit Meetup or edit something. It's a pencil.
And there's another button.
Wow,
It's like a
I
settings.
can barely even see that.
That's bad contrast to
Bad
the button.
contrast.
Icon.
Right now, my eyes messed up.
No, it's bad
Everything's
contrast.
Yeah, I can tell the contrast is bad.
That's the account settings or
Yeah, so that's.
settings button.
And then there's another button here.
That's the photo. Maybe like edit your photo.
Button. Jackie Adam. Heading. Button. Jackie Adam.
So when it's saying button, it should say what the button does.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's missing the
Otherwise,
accessible
you've got
name.
no idea.
You just have to guess.
Button. 18 interests. 32 RSVP.
See, because the text, they kind of get that for
Makes
free.
me twitch a little bit too, just as a front-end guy.
What does?
One group of
Organizer. Heading. Austin Accessibility and Inclusive Design. Organizer bullet 768. Austin Accessibility and Interests.
Who chooses
That should be a heading.
Yeah, I was about to say that. That's a heading, but not interest.
Photography.
Let's see
Art
what
fun.
Well, that was all like one big button. That should be individual buttons.
Photography. Art. Live music.
Those are the
Technology,
tags.
Photography
Yeah.
classes. Leadership. Social. Fine. Tag. 1 of 5.
I think this are probably, they did okay with these.
Home. Tag.
These on the bottom are just like accidentally accessible for free. Like that just comes from
If
Apple.
they know, they would have.
3 of 5.
So I just wanted
What
to
did that
point
say?
out.
What did that check?
Going. Tag. 3 of 5. Going. Tag. 3
Can
of
we
5.
hear what it says, or we're not sure?
What did it?
There's if you have Xcode,
Tag. 3 of 5.
like oh no, I don't have it set up. You can inspect the accessibility properties, but I don't have this phone set up right now, so I won't worry about that.
Anyway, so at
Updates.
these, you
6
know,
items. Tag.
how many?
4 of 5.
Go like read the page that shows like the stuff in the page maybe.
Tag. Selected. Home.
Yeah.
Tag. 2 of 5. 5-star online. Button.
What did that say, star?
5-star online.
5-star online. That's probably the file name.
Share action. Button. Share action. Button.
Share action. That sounds okay.
Austin Accessibility and Inclusive Design. Austin. Question mark. Button.
Question mark is bad.
Yeah.
I think it's the same question.
Is Meetup.com accessible?
No.
Tested as number sign 11 wide demo is a platform.
Meetup.com is not accessible. Sorry.
I mean, to what
Austin
extent
Central
you
Library.
have something that's called a question mark button? I mean, like,
710 West
obviously
St.
that's a bad
Street.
experience, but
Austin.
it's also kind of a crappy experience as a sighted user too. You don't like, I mean.
But it's right by public group, so it should be something like help about public group. Like
Yeah.
you can tell that because of the placement, but the screen reader user will lose that.
Gotcha.
That's a big
So there's
one.
also position.
You and one more are posting.
Okay.
Copy this meetup button. You and 16 people are going.
They could
Also,
combine
is there
them in one
You and
thing.
16 people are. You and 16 people are
So I
going.
didn't find any way to copy, for instance, the link that you had for the streaming from the meetup.
From the app?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
Copy
like
the
the
link
app, it's
URL.
just like if I just press, it's like, no, it doesn't select it in any.
You can't
way.
even select the URL to
So I
copy
had to
it.
find the correct email that had the thing and then just go and edit from there.
Okay.
Like, because I wanted to tweet it, so I don't know, maybe you can find a way to copy the thing there.
Copy this meetup
Or
button.
the link to the,
I think that's for the
You
admin
and
stuff.
16 people.
yeah.
That button.
So
You and
there's
16
no
people
Does it
are
read
going.
the text?
Check mark
Does it read the
or-
text?
You and 16 people are going.
yeah, but there's no alt for the little check mark or.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I see what you're saying.
That button.
What did it skip all that text there, or what? You cannot touch it, or
That
what?
button.
Just,
It should go.
Oh,
through-
okay.
I can if I do like.
okay, if you touch it.
How accessible
What
is
about
the
read more? Does the read more,
link?
read more thing work?
Read more
Yeah.
button.
Activate that?
Read more.
Okay,
How accessible is the meetup.com
okay.
link?
Did that say P?
Button. Opens a detailed
Blah,
map
blah,
view.
blah, 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 P, blah, 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 button. What are they gonna get from the P?
I don't know. Does that say
There's a lot
map?
of
Did that say
things.
map or anything?
Oh, that's what I was.
Map
Okay,
button.
map.
It says map.
Opens a detailed map view.
It could see like location, but I mean, that's okay.
Photos.
See what the photos
Shared
says.
learning 471 on 4th floor.
What's photos say? Like,
Photos. Photos.
For the website and the phone, is there a way to make the text bigger? Is that
Yeah.
something
yeah,
important?
you want to try that? Like, you can turn on voiceover and then go to
VoiceOver
your
on.
accessibility. Yeah. So if you go to your settings,
And they're accessible.
whoops. Where
There's a bit of
settings?
check that one.
Okay, so you go to settings, and then I can go to general accessibility,
Okay.
larger text, and then make it bigger. Now the app should then get bigger. And yeah, so this is something you test for. I think it did. Did it or no?
I can't tell.
No, it looks the same.
Yeah, I think it looks.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to
Not as big
close
as it
it.
was.
Like, but the app, you shouldn't have to always close it, but then sometimes you do. You see, like, everything else got really big in
That's all the West.
in the system, but yeah, I don't think they got bigger in the Meetup app. It doesn't look any bigger, right?
No.
Yeah, so that would be a WCAG failure of the resizable text.
So that's a hard-coded text size versus a scalable one.
Yeah, maybe it just like barely changed. Anyway, that's definitely not as big as we saw.
Well, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
Voiceover on. Meetup. One life. Dennis Deacon middle dot 2 hours ago. Overflow action. Dennis Deacon middle dot 2 hours ago.
Didn't even read what he said.
Missed the
Oh,
live stream.
okay.
Dennis Deacon
Just didn't
middle
read
dot
it
2
until
hours
I
ago.
touched it.
Overflow action. Hard.
That's
Button.
weird.
One. Great.
Oh,
Dennis
okay.
Deacon. Great.
It's
One.
kind of like the
Hard.
swipe
One.
order
Dennis
doesn't make
Deacon
any
middle dot-
sense.
Overflow action. Hard.
I
One
swipe
life.
to the bottom
Great.
things and
Have a
then I
great day.
swipe to something
We'll
above
likely miss
it.
the live stream, but we'll watch the recording. Overflow action.
Overflow action.
Overflow alert.
Oh, wait, so
Report.
you swipe to tab on the phone?
Yeah, so like
Great. Have a
instead
great
of
day.
tabbing,
We'll
swiping
help
is
you
kind of like the alternative, but it's not keyboard movement, it's just moving the screen reader focus. So
Okay.
it's a little bit different. On Android, you can actually tab. If you had an Android with a keyboard, you could really tap on it, but on iOS, it doesn't work that way.
Unless you use an external keyboard with it.
Voiceover off.
Okay, cool.
Would you check on a tablet too? Would you use like 3 like intermediate?
I would, yeah. I do a lot, unless the design is exactly the same, but a lot of times it's different on the tablet. And it's easier to do testing from an iPad than from the phone. Sometimes the phone's just too small.
Yeah.
I always have my iPad like waiting to do accessibility testing at work.
So when you, since you do mobile testing, do you test the website and like the native apps and all that stuff, or do you just focus on like mobile devices?
No, I mean, it depends. If they have the native apps, I test it. A lot of times people, when they tell you to test their website, they don't tell you to test the mobile, but they have a responsive site. They have a hamburger menu. They just don't even know it, or they don't mention that. But you have to you know, like, I don't know if Pearson even has a hamburger man, but you have to increase the text size on whatever you test. Like keep making it bigger until the hamburger menu comes in. You have to test that for keyboard accessibility and screen reader and all that. So it's just an extra. You can do it here too, but also you want to do it on your phone and tablet and all that as well.
You can put your browser in like device mode with Chrome.
Yes, you can do. Yeah, user agent switching. The thing with that is that not all sites will change based on user agent. It's based on the size. So if you resize it, then it'll change. But then some sites do it only on user agent switching.
Well, Chrome actually has like responsive mode and device mode.
It kind of does both. It resizes it and switches to user agent, I think.
Does the responsive mode act any different than just taking the browser?
It does. I think it does the agent and squeezes it down.
Well, in Chrome, it actually will try to simulate touch events. It's not perfect, but it's
right.
Yeah, like that is you go to your inspector in Chrome and you click the little mobile menu. It just kind of changes it to look like an iPhone. And then you can do accessibility testing here too, and all your keyboard accessibility testing and everything, and turn on the screen reader. I always use a screen reader with Safari mostly, but you can use it with Chrome. Just maybe some different bugs here and there. Yeah, one thing I wanted to try was signing up for Meetup. That's pretty important, right?
Welcome to edit text module. Edit text module.
So this is the sign up form to sign up for Meetup, and it's not accessible.
Edit text module menu.
You're supposed to type your name here, and it says edit text with autofill menu.
Edit text module menu. Go. Safari created. Don't use.
That's my operating system.
Don't use button.
Just trying to get to the submit button. Okay.
Link change. Link.
What the heck? I couldn't even get to the continue button. I don't know why. I couldn't tab to it. Or I just didn't hear it. Something weird there. Anyway, so you hit submit on the form, and we don't hear any error messages or anything. No, they're not. You can click on the label to check. Like if I click on email address, it should put the focus into it if it's connected, but it's not. So that's why it says edit text. Blah, blah, blah. And then try to submit. Yeah, this is the voiceover screen reader.
The website that is making the black outline.
Voiceover, just voiceover, yeah.
Press continue button.
Yeah, but sometimes it doesn't align right. Whose fault is that? VoiceOver or the website?
The website, yeah. See, and here they have the default focus outline, that blue. That's your browser. Here they customize it. Actually, they just removed it on the input. On this orange input,
they removed what?
They removed the focus outline. Like normally you get this blue outline. Yeah. They removed it, and then here they said we'll add our own custom focus outline, which is fine. But then this one, it only turns the background color.
Well, that's just bad. That's bad design. It's not
that's definitely. No, but it is. The nice part about accessibility is you can enforce good design with accessibility. Whereas if you didn't have accessibility saying, yeah, that's just my design, I'll do whatever I want. But with WCAG, you say that's actually a WCAG failure. You have to.
Is the outline?
It's probably disabled.
Is it neglect on the part of the design?
Someone disabled it purposefully. So button, and if you do the focus, we can see it's going to have outline none somewhere. But yeah, here it is. Outline 0. That's how you.
What is the selector for that? Are they doing it there?
They're doing it to all buttons, all class of button. Everything with a class of button. So yeah, it's pretty common. It's like a big reset to like get rid of styles they don't like on their buttons. Anyway, and you could do automated tools, of course, to show you these problems too. You know, you don't have to use a screen reader for everything. It says label has no for. I could also run
so
in
what did you
Wave.
do there? I'm really sorry. What did you do that?
I'm using an automated tool that was called Totally. This one is Wave. And Wave made by WebAIM. You might have heard of them. They've been around forever. And so you get nice red error tooltips, and it says missing form label. So often we'll put this into an accessibility report as a screenshot. And also, Wave does contrast too. You have to click the contrast button, and we'll see that this white on red has insufficient contrast as well. At least that's what it says. Automated tools aren't always perfect, though. They can get things wrong. So sometimes you have to check on your own. So yeah, that's a lot of issues with meetup.com. Do y'all have any questions about that? Did anybody do their own testing and want to show any problems or talk about any problems that they found?
I looked on the website and it talks about linearizing things.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
That means, so the screen reader, they view everything in a linear order, basically that follows the source code order of the page. So if you start at the top, you start at the logo. That's the first thing they'll focus on. I've seen that applied for like data tables where they, let me go to a data table demo, but like some tools do things like with data tables to linearize them, because the order you read it is this one, then this one, then this one. You go across from left to right.
Yeah.
That's hard to even though that's not the visual order, visually kind of looks a little different.
Yeah.
So with the screen reader, you can test for that. And you're testing, does it tell you what column you're in, what row you're in?
Let's just say Peaches Spring 596 or whatever.
If it's coded correctly, it'll do that.
With the voiceover, like, is there any program to improve that like tempo and statato and?
You can make it slower. I have mine really fast.
Like for instance, on Mac, Fiona is a lot nicer.
Yeah, you can adjust the speech rate and the pitch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then like also might be helpful, like sometimes like add a few different voices for different functions, like the
voiceover utility. You can pick different voices.
The best way to predict the future is Samantha Compact. The best way to predict the future. Alex Compact. The best way to predict the future. Right. The best way to predict the future.
Some are better than others. I think Alex is what I was using.
Alex Compact. The best way to predict the future is to invent.
I know. You like that one? I guess
that's just the default.
And
I haven't changed it.
Yeah, you can change the rate, which
Yes.
is the speed that it reads back to you. If you've ever sat down with anyone who uses a screen reader, it's
Rate 31. The best way to predict the future is
The voiceover only goes up to 100, but I'm sure there's other things that do it faster.
I think Jaws is the
voices
fastest.
actually do
Maybe.
it like in a bit different speed because I was like just
Depends on the voice. They can handle faster
with
ones.
Voice stream and like apparently Samantha was much faster or like much more easier to understand like the super fast speeds than Daniel.
I heard that someone was like, it's like a top aide to a politician, and they attributed it to not being able to see well, so they used voiceover, but because you're able to listen so much more quickly than you are able to read. So
Yeah, but it's
I
also
developed
much
these
more
skills.
efficient because otherwise, like if you try to like read something at the slow speed or like audiobook 1x speed, and it's like, how can you keep concentrated in this thing? Sorry, but, no.
I crank mine up almost as fast as it goes, but I'm also like, I rely on the visual output a lot.
That helps. If you see it in here at the same time, you'll look faster. One other thing, the login screen, the labels are not connected, email address, password, but the checkbox label is connected. So when you click the label, it'll check it. And then various automated tools will show you different errors.
And I'm sure the errors are not spoken aloud either.
Yeah, like if you hit login, please enter your email. That's a good thing to check.
Welcome to reload page.
You want to hit submit, login button.
Edit text with autofill menu.
So we didn't hear this error. Sorry, there was a problem. You need to hear that with the screen reader.
All it needs is a rolling.
And you'll find more details below, like highlighted. Obviously, you can't see the highlight.
Yeah.
Is there a website that you can show us with a form that is just done very well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I collect a lot of demos and stuff to give to developers and people. I have a demo. If you go to my demos page and go to Form Aria, that's the one I usually send to people.
Welcome to Mac Hub First. Visit.
So if you go to Submit button and then you press spacebar, enter.
First name app service required and let data edit text with autofill menu.
And then it'll say the error message with a little delay. It'll say it.
First name star is empty. Please type a value.
Now, and if you type your name and press enter,
last name app service
which goes to the next one, press enter.
Phone number.
It just keeps sending the focus to the invalid inputs. That's just one way to do it. There's lots of ways you can do it.
Is it Aria making you do all this extra behavior?
Aria, JavaScript is sending the focus to the inputs, but Aria in JavaScript is inserting the Aria attributes. So if I have like a tool that shows you Aria properties, now that says required, that's all it is. But these are invalid as well.
Oh, and it's got to be doing that dynamically.
Yeah. So if I filled it in right, and then I hit submit, and then if I run that tool again, it'll tell me, it won't say it's invalid anymore. You have to remove the attributes when they're valid and add them when they're invalid. So yes, there's tons of ways to do forms. Meetup must not have an accessibility team, is my guess. No one's testing it with a screen reader. I don't know if they have like an accessibility link. A lot of times sites have at the bottom something that says accessibility.
Yeah, just use Windows and JAWS and
Since when does WeWork own
Internet
Meetup?
Explorer 6 or
Do they
6?
buy Meetup? Or do Meetup buy them?
Why?
Because that's the one I always, WeWork bought them. So that's the one I always get. They say, rent one of our WeWork rooms. And it's an X button that says button. Anyway, that's what got me pissed off at Meetup. They charge more now too. They add like extra fees. I just have the default account, but you can't show sponsors on the homepage anymore unless you pay extra, and then you can show the sponsors. Not that we have any.
You get a sponsor to pay to show the sponsors. I mean.
Yeah, I know, but it's just they're just weaseling more. And I'm a paid customer, and it's not accessible. It's pretty risky, like from a litigation standpoint. I mean,
is that why I was going to ask that? So, what makes companies ensure that they're accessible to everyone, apart from obviously they've increased their market appeal? But
it's all variety of all the things. Could be litigation; they've been sued and they had to agree to a settlement. Could be they're trying to sell to the government or education, and their customers say it has to be accessible or we can't buy it. Could be goodwill; they just like to do it. Usually, it's not that case. Usually, it's the legal requirements.
There are legal rules that you have to.
It's like this library has to be accessible to wheelchair users.
Yeah.
Same thing with websites for blind people.
Yeah.
And businesses are, if you like Netflix, Redbox, the grocery stores where you can buy groceries on the internet, those are really big targets. Banks, airlines, they've all been sued and had to do accessibility, not because they wanted to.
Yeah.
So, that's not most people don't like that approach of, getting accessibility through lawsuits, but that's, in Europe, accessibility is not required because there are no lawsuits.
You're kidding.
Depends, like the worst is in Norway, it's a legal requirement for websites to be accessible.
But not like England, Germany. I've never heard of lawsuits there.
Interesting.
I think there are some lawsuits in Canada, but most of all the lawsuits are in the United States.
Yeah, it's a common part of culture.
Yeah, well, it works.
A lot of U.S. lawsuit culture is because that's the only way to accomplish things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like you hear about like people suing over ridiculous injuries. A lot of the times, like that's because their insurance company like requires them to sue. Like it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to get the money. They're not going to pay out unless they try to sue it. There's a bunch of movement too. Can't stop all that. Some good contrast. Anyway, I guess we're done. I will close out the sharing and the YouTube live.
Thank you. It's super
No problem. Thank you.